Good afternoon. Welcome back to the B&H Event Space. You are tuned into the quest for wedding film mastery. Part one, of course, this is a series hosted by Sony and the wonderful Amber and Garrett Baird joining us to discuss part one today, pre-production, getting ready. What's going on, guys?
Hey, thanks for having us today. We are so excited to be bringing this to everyone. This is a dream of ours, so we're really excited to start talking about all the planning stuff, which is honestly one of our struggles, is the
Yeah.
planning process. So,
I think that's everybody's. It's like the part everyone hates. It's like packing for a trip.
It's
But,
just so much easier to fly by the seat of your pants.
Garrett, that's me. Let's bring one camera. Why do we need a backup?
Yeah.
We don't need this. It's minimal stuff. They get what they get. No, that's not why we're here. Don't listen to me, anybody.
Do as
Before you
we
guys
say,
get started,
not
I
as we
do want
do.
to say you guys have the coolest, best backdrop we've had. So congratulations on that. You guys win.
thank you.
Everybody that comes on after is going to have big shoes to fill. But I'm going to turn it over to Amber and Garrett. And of course, another thank you to Sony for hosting this wonderful series. And we're going to drop some links throughout so that you guys can check out Amber and Garrett's work. And if you do have any questions at all, feel free to drop them into the chat on YouTube. Other than that, guys, take it away, and I'll see you in a minute for some Q&A.
All right. Thank you so much, Derek. We really
Thanks,
appreciate
Derek.
it. We are so excited about this series, the Quest for Wedding Film Mastery. So,
So she's going to do a lot of teaching, and during over the course of these 10, I'm going to just play with Star Wars toys.
that's normal, but
I'm sorry, collectibles.
collectibles. So we're gonna get started. Like for most of us, we learned pretty much everything in the wedding industry the exact hard way. And so things like this weren't available to us whenever we first started. I'm going to date us. We have been filming weddings for 20 years. It has been 20 years. We filmed our very first wedding 2 weeks after we got married.
Right.
But you
And
know,
there wasn't a lot of education like what we're doing 20 years ago. It was just kind of like you got to go out.
was it
and,
YouTube even a thing?
Yeah, probably, but not to the degree it is now, for sure.
Not at all.
And so you kind of had to go out and fly by the seat of your pants, and learn the School of Hard Knocks way, and then write it down like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, and remind yourself. And today we're going to hopefully pass 20 years of knowledge. Well, not all of our knowledge on one day, but over the course of the next, what, 10 episodes?
10 episodes over the course of the next several months. We'll be hopefully wrapping up by the end of December. And through all of that, you should be able to do pretty well, hopefully, on your own wedding film business. And of course, this is just scratching the surface. Let me get my screen shared here, Garrett. This is scratching the surface, though. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's see. Share. Okay. And then we're going to
So
start.
if you haven't figured it out
play.
yet, we're huge nerds, and we're going to carry that theme over because we've been watching a lot of House of Dragons. So Amber's like, what if we just make our whole presentation based and themed off of, a fictional world of dragons? Like, sure, why not?
Well, and I wanted to make it a quest too, because I feel like it's all it is a journey. You know, you start and you just don't know a stinking thing. I think the very first wedding we ever shot, like I'd only been to a few weddings, so I didn't even know how to do a wedding, much less what even happens at a wedding. So pre-production though, this is something that we have struggled with getting in our own life. But we find that the more we plan, the better our shoot will be. So we're gonna go navigating the pre-production maze. I'm Amber. Again, Garrett and I have been married for 20 years. I'm a filmmaker, producer, educator. I'm a 5-year cancer survivor, and I'm the extrovert of the group here. Garrett is a filmmaker. He's been filming and he's had a camera in his hand since he was 15 years old. And I am not going to tell you how old he is, though,
Nope,
but he is
nope.
slightly older than me.
Just a little bit.
But he's also our main creative editor. He's an educator, photographer, and classic introvert. We are exact opposites, so it works most of the time. Okay, so at this point we've done about 600 weddings
I think we've done more than 6. We just stopped counting.
Yeah, that's to my best guess. So who knows? Hopefully some of our former couples will be seeing these, but we're going to show you first off, we're going to show you a wedding film that we made a couple years ago.
Instagram highlight, about
Yeah, 2 minute
about 2 minutes long.
We're not going to talk through it, just watch it. We want to show you what we do and what we have to offer and what kind of chops you're going to be looking at, what kind of film making chops that we're going to be showing you. So stay tuned. This is Michelle and Al, and this is this is a very interesting wedding, but I'm really excited about it. So here you go.
I want to tell you that tonight I feel like the afterlife, but my vision is changing.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Did you forget?
I did. That was sick.
That's pretty good. Sometimes you forget, like, over the course of all the years that we've been doing this, we forget how fun it is, too.
Right. I will say, we'll talk about this on a later episode, but filming a wedding in, what was that, July or something? A really hot day. Everybody wore white, not a cloud in the sky. So everybody was in white and trying to expose for people's faces and not blow out the. It was a fun one. We'll talk about it in a later episode. But yeah, that was a challenge.
That was a challenging wedding, and I wasn't even a year off of chemo yet, so I was still very sick. But so the title of this is called "The Quest for Wedding Film Mastery."
And you didn't put this in there, but I have to. I just have to be a nerd and just say that all those who wonder
are not lost.
Are not lost. So if you feel like there's so much, you're out there trying to do the weddings and you're trying to figure out how to do it, you're just running around like a chicken with his head cut off, like my dad used to say, don't worry about it. That's how you learn, and through courses like this. So you may be wandering out in the wilderness trying to find where you're going and trying to find out how to do these things. You'll be fine. Just chill.
You're not lost.
You're not lost, yeah.
Hopefully. Sometimes it feels like it. But so we say all that to say, so we're talking about this quest and mastering filmmaking, but then we throw this quote at you. Filmmaking is a medium that cannot be mastered. And that's
the first time I heard that, I was like, that's bull. I mean, there has to be, whatever. And then I found out who said it.
The one and only Ron Howard. He has been in film since he was a baby, basically a child. And so whenever I hear quotes like that and I think about like his film catalog and how he doesn't think he's a master already, it just blows my mind. So firstly, that makes me think, none of us are too good to learn.
Right.
You can
You
always learn
always,
something
yeah.
from somebody. And you may find somebody who you think is not as good as you, but you can still learn from them. So that's where we start. Filmmaking is a medium that can't be mastered, but you can sure have a lot of fun with it. And one of the reasons why Garrett has some fun with it is because we get bored. We get bored doing the same thing.
Right, and
So-
it's our art, and art is very subjective. So what one person may like, another person doesn't. But through this medium of filmmaking, we can create art that otherwise we would just be sitting at home trying to figure out what to do with our lives. But we're out there, we're using somebody else's experience, somebody else's wedding, somebody else's emotions to build a foundation for our canvas, and we can use the cameras as our brush and create. Okay, I'm getting off track, but yes,
that was actually beautiful.
I just get really excited when I think about how the artistic side of it is something that you can express through this medium, whether it be photography or video, but in this case, video.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the pre-production maze. We have a map that will hopefully help guide us through. So we used to not really take as much time as we should have with pre-production. And again, I said the more we sit down and think and talk and actually just think about the shoot, the better we are going to be. So for the first thing though that happens with the initial pre-production is your initial consultation with the couple. So you get the email from the couple, you get the phone call. I know some of you are scared of the phone, but it's okay. So you get the email, the phone call, the text, whatever, the Instagram DM, and you start a conversation with them. What we want to start thinking about is you are going to attract what you show.
Right.
Meaning the type of films that you put out into the ether are the types of couples you're going to get back. So if you put out a film and you're like, oh, I really hate doing films like that,
Don't do that films like that.
don't post it.
Right. And it's some of my work, our work, my apologies. Some of our work recently, I said it was my work because it's a lot of on my shoulders on the editing side of it, is a little more, I want to say avant-garde as of late. And when we made the film you just saw, we had already booked somebody else.
Don't get ahead of ourselves.
Oh, I'm ahead of you. Okay, I'm sorry.
We went through this presentation earlier.
I just get excited.
Okay, I know you're so excited, but you're gonna attract what you show. So if you want quirky, crazy couples, then you better show quirky, crazy couples. And if you don't have one, then you get one, you find one. You may have to do a film for a lot less than what you want, or sometimes free. But if you
where do I
don't,
find cosplayers for Star Wars getting married?
if you are a
That's what I
Star
wanna
Wars
do.
cosplayer getting married, give us a call. Okay, so you attract what you show. And then the next thing I want you to think about is the language that you use that is written and spoken. So the copy on your website, the copy that's on your Instagram, captions. I don't know if people are still using Facebook for that. I mean, we do because of our area, TikTok, whatever you're using. The copy of that needs to clearly identify your company and your brand.
Right.
Because you want to make sure that the people who are choosing to hire you know what they're going to be getting themselves into. Your social presence too. So I think it would be fair to say that we are very open and willing to film a Star Wars wedding. So we put that out in the social presence. And hopefully we'll get that back, so you just have to make sure that each step of the way, you have to be very intentional about the couple and the types of families that you want to capture with.
Attract, yeah.
And which one
And
you want
like
to attract.
the type of work that we're producing now is very polarizing. Like I tell some of our classes, I tell them like, look, I want the bride to look at our website, look at our videos and hate it or love it. I would rather them love it, but I don't want them to look at our website and be like, well, they're okay. I mean, I guess they'll do. I want them to be drawn to it. I want this magnetic force, if you may, to pull them into us. And if we're not their style, then I need to make a living. I need to make money. But if they don't mesh with our style, with what we are comfortable producing, then I would rather them find somebody who is in their style and who is be more apt and more able to serve their needs.
Great. And then, I mean, honestly, this all goes to the initial consultation, goes with this, because are you good to work with? Are you easy to get along with? Are you gonna be easy for their photographer to get along with? Do you have a bad, do you have a name in your town for being a diva? Like these are all things that you have to keep in mind. Like, did you make the last church lady mad at you? So in the wedding world, the industry is very, very, very small. Word travels very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to be pleasant and good to work with. And hey, sometimes I even end up doing things that are not my job, but as long as it's for the good of the couple and it's help make the day go more smoothly, I'm there.
I wish I had $1 for every time I've folded those little pocket squares for guys and showed them how to do it. I mean, it's not my job. Somebody else should be taking care of that. But it's like in the moment of, you do little things like that and it will endear you to the couples.
And not only that, but I mean, just lending a hand to the wedding planner, or the photographer, or do they need a help with a bag being carried and you have an extra hand? Just things like that just make you more valuable to those around you. And then honestly, this is so silly and it sounds so silly, but in the world of social media and things, it's very easy to put on a mask whenever you're presenting yourself. So even at the initial consultation, you need to be yourself, because if you show up on a wedding day and you're not acting the same as you did in the initial consultation, there's going to be a problem. So like if Garrett the introvert was acting like an extrovert during the consultation and then comes to the job as an introvert, they're going to be thrown off a little bit. So you really just need to work on finding your voice and being yourself, starting at the initial consultation. But it's fun. I mean, back in the day, whenever we used to meet a lot of our couples, how many times, like I remember one time we got shushed at a Panera Bread.
Yes, I remember that.
Because we were having too much fun with the couple.
Like, this isn't a library, lady.
We got shushed at a Panera. So, like just endearing yourselves to the couple and showing them who you are. The more open you are, the more open they will be, and the more you will be able to get great emotion from them on the wedding day.
Yeah, and that's across the board. Even for this presentation, we have studio backdrops. I was kind of like, well, should I be all professional and have my perfect backdrop and the lights? And I'm like, you know what? I'm a nerd. I'm gonna lean into it, and this is me. This is who we are. If you go to our website, if a couple goes to our website, they're gonna see that we have, I have sleeve tattoos. She has tattoos and purple hair. You know what you're getting into. You're not hiring some. Anyways, I digress. But they know exactly what they're getting into for the most part, at least. Absolutely.
Yes.
And that will work in your favor to build that bond that you need with your couples.
100%. Okay, so during the initial call, sometimes people are like, I don't know what to ask them about. And then you get in this rut of just verbal vomit at the couple.
What?
You're just telling them all about yourself.
Yeah.
I can do this, I've done this. The first thing you need to do is ask them about their day. Tell me about your day. Tell me about your needs. What do you envision? What do you want?
Because the point of that meeting is for us and you to get information. And I understand, like myself, I'd being an introvert, if there's a moment of silence, I feel like I have to fill that silence. And so I don't know anything about them, so I'll just start talking about me. And
or the worst thing.
What?
The worst thing you can talk about during an initial consultation.
What?
Your gear.
Yes.
They don't care.
Yeah, they really don't.
Sometimes they're like, sometimes like a bridal magazine will say, make sure they can shoot 4K. It's like they get this list from I said magazine. Oh my gosh, who am I? A blog or something. And they'll get these lists and they'll just go through and ask them, but they really don't care. So don't talk about your gear either. The first thing you should always do, tell me about your wedding day, tell me about yourselves, how did you meet? Those are the things that you're gonna want, because you're gonna use those things that they tell you as examples of how you can use your experience to meet their needs.
Perfect. Yep. Yep.
So let's say, we had someone reach out to me a few months ago wanting us to do a legacy film for her and her husband, and it's crazy because she kind of told me everything that she wanted. It's a little bit of a wedding, a little bit of a legacy film of this couple. And we had just filmed a legacy film for a CEO of a corporation last year. Now, it's not the exact same type of film, but we can use the same ideas that we used in that film in her film. And so by having her tell me all of her vision, I'm thinking and writing, okay, how does what I already have, how can I use what I have already done to tell her, yes, I can do that, no problem. I've already done X, Y, Z.
Right.
I can use these skills, no problem, in your film. Anything to add?
No, that was great. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now, the other thing is understanding your couples. So this is kind of where we were going, Garrett, where you started going earlier. So, there are different cues that you can use to help identify your couple's vibe, right? You want to make sure you nail it. So the simple things are the location, the venue, and other vendors that they choose. Those are good key things that help you learn what type of couple, what type of wedding that they're going to be having.
It's kind of like a bingo card when they're going through their list of their vendors and where their wedding's going to be at, where their reception's going to be at. You're like, oh, please, 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 yes, bingo! Because you have what's it called, like the A team. I think one of our wedding planners calls when she gets a certain like photographer, she gets us, she gets this DJ, this location. It's the A team comes together for what does Monica call it? I don't know, it just comes together in a nice, big, wonderful package because we all work together so well and it works out.
It's like back when they had like super groups in the 80s and 90s. Right?
Mecca, that's what she calls it.
Oh,
Her
yeah.
Mecca.
Well, her Mecca. Yeah, her Mecca. Yeah. And so then you may think like that's not quite enough information. I need more. Some other things you can even ask them during the initial conversation to get more of a clue is also favorite artists, movies, books, and music genres. We really...
And speaking of music genres, we'll come back to this later when we talk about editing, but a lot of our couples, one of the biggest questions, like, well, do we get to pick the music? How do you pick the music? Because you don't know us. And our answer is always to that, we're going to spend the happiest day of your life thus far with you and your family. The music you choose as the couple to use at your wedding ceremony, to use at your reception, the music you dance to, is going to give us an in-depth look at your likes and the things that you are attracted to. And we're going to use all of that information and ingrain that into your wedding and choose the music. But no, you don't get to choose the music, we do. But yeah, just they really that's an answer that they can really understand. Like, oh yeah, you're right. You're going to be listening to all of our music all day long, so we're going to exactly know what kind of vibe and style that they're going for.
Right. So
dubstep, sure, why not?
So going backpacking, backpedaling a little bit to the story Garrett was getting ready to tell. So I believe the white wedding, that's what we call the wedding from the first wedding. We showed the white wedding. We even wore white in it. It was wild, but, or to it, excuse me. Yeah. So we filmed that wedding. Garrett uploads the highlight, and like a couple, like I think it was that day or the next day, we get a text from one of our brides for later on in that year, like a month later.
They've already booked, they've already paid the deposit, they're ready to go.
And we could tell she was nervous, like she was having second thoughts. She wanted to discuss her wedding film or whatever. So I get on the phone with her, and she, come to find out, that is definitely not her style.
Right, she's a Southern Indiana barn wedding country girl.
Country girl. It was a beautiful, like they had a beautiful Catholic ceremony. The reception was at this beautiful like golf course, but it was definitely not the same type of family. And so they were like, well, I mean, like you use skulls and stuff in that one. And I was like, we used skulls in that film because that was what was in their home too.
Yeah, that was a large Louis Vuitton print.
So
That
yes.
they use, and she just like the music I don't care for. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
this is actually a good thing because it shows. I was telling her this. It shows you that we write the story for you. Like we don't write the story for us because we want it to form and tell a story about you and not just about what we like. And so she was very happy with that because she's like, I don't want skulls and rock music in my video. Like, don't worry about it. It's all good. We got you.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, well, like if you don't have skulls hanging up in your mom's house where you're getting ready, then you won't have skulls. And she's like, okay, I feel better now. And it was all fine. And they love their film, and they're a beautiful family, and we love them so much. And we've worked with them many times. But yeah, so that is something that you have to keep in mind, especially if you like that couple, the white wedding was definitely somebody who we could kind of push the boundaries with music and things like that. But
Well, they were a little extra, as you can see.
Yeah.
And I like that in my couples because that means I can flex a little extra and maybe do something that, like if I would have done that, anything close to that for the bride that was calling me, I mean, she wouldn't have liked it. I would have to re-edit it. But having those couples that give you a little leeway to push what you're comfortable doing is an entrance to greatness.
that's what makes it really fun too.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So there's shot list. And now I know a lot of people too, it's like, well, okay, so you just said, Garrett, that you make your film to every couple,
Yeah,
but you have a shot list.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so when we first started out, you're just kind of shooting everything and just getting all the shots and trying to do all the things at once. And you got a new gimbal, so you're trying to use your gimbal. You got a new drone, trying to use the drone. Or like one wedding, I brought a jib and a crane, and so I used that too much. Anyways, so you have this set list and shot list, and I do at the beginning. I used to have it on like a piece on my phone, and I would reference it, like make sure I get this shot. But after you do it for years and years and years and years, it's all up here. It's programmed up here, so I could do it in my sleep. I could do it with my eyes closed. It's no big deal. But there are a set of, I would say maybe a dozen shots that are key shots, key elements that are big pieces to my storytelling puzzle that I'll need later. So outside of the normal stuff, like I want a hero shot of them dancing with, I'm on a, I keep calling it glide cam because I'm old school, but on my gimbal of, a 50 millimeter up close on the dance floor, me spinning around them, you got that compression in the background, kind of like a J.J. Abrams Bad Boys 2 compression and just swinging around. That's one shot that I have to have for the crescendo of the music when it hits at the reception on the video. So that's one of, almost, I think it's a dozen. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But all those pieces come together. They're crucial. It's the glue that holds the story together, that hits those big crescendos, hits those tear-jerker moments that I really, really need. So if you are bad, like I'm bad at remembering things. So in the beginning, like I said, I put it on my phone. I had a shot list. I would check, and make sure I got those. Of course, now I don't need all that. I have it in my brain, and I'm just on like autopilot. But there are those few shot lists that I either have to have, or sometimes I'll be like, okay, I have my normal shot list, but there's this one shot I haven't tried before, and it's kind of pushing the boundaries of my capability. I wonder if I can squeeze that in. So I'll put that on my list, and hopefully I'll have time to do it. And then if it works out, then fantastic, you've reached another plateau of your skill level. If it doesn't, you still have all the other shots that you had planned for. But outside of like the random drone shot I wanted to do that just didn't quite work out because of airspace restrictions or whatever, most of the time, those little extra shots that I throw on my shot list always work.
Yeah. I will say, I was watching one of our films from like 2018 or 2016 or something like that. It was wild. But it was funny because I saw some of the same shots we still do today. And they're in those classic wedding films that we did, a long time ago, 8-10 years ago, same shots, but they've been refined, they've been changed around.
Right.
But like Garrett said, no matter what music they're listening to or what music we have paired with it, these crescendo shots, most of you will know, like the slider shot from behind the last pew as the bride walks down the aisle. That's in every single one of our films. But it's that crescendo shot. It fits with every song. So if you have, a great, list of those things that you can always get at every wedding, you got a good start to an amazing film.
Absolutely.
So the more information you have before the wedding, the better your day is going to be.
That's me. I said that.
You did say that yesterday, and I was like, this is somebody who used to you usually do kind of like to fly by the seat of your pants. We were joking about that earlier, but sometimes like that can help to be creative too. But whenever you're very prepared, it calms your brain and lets you know, I got this.
Yeah, the more preparation you do, the more power you have on the day of to tell a really compelling story.
That's true. So one of the many ways Garrett does some prep work is uses Google Street View to scout for all the different kinds of things, not only locations, but drone shots and like where's the light gonna set and stuff. But the specific one is the drone shot that we talked about.
I think it was in, I don't know, St. Louis or somewhere. We hadn't shot at this church before. And I looked it up online. Beautiful, beautiful church. Just had these two spires coming up on either side and just begged for a drone to start on the backside of the church and pull through to reveal and come between the spires and reveal the church. And I just didn't know the area. And so I got on Google Street View and Google Maps, looked around, and I found a great staging area that was maybe a quarter mile away, that had this massive tree in this field that I was able to fly the drone underneath the tree and then come up and reveal the church. Then I also did the other one. I usually get like 2 or 3 shots, but I would not have found that shot unless I would have done some due diligence beforehand. And I would have gotten something, but there was less stress and less hesitation. And I knew when I went to get that drone shot, and on a wedding day, time is a rare commodity. So anytime you're wasting time, that's not good. So I was able to go to the church, and it was between the photo session and the ceremony, and I was able to go to the church, pop the drone out, get the shot exactly how I wanted it, and pack it up and be done before the bride and groom got there, before the ceremony, and not be stressed at all about time. So it's a really easy, free way to just check the area and see how it's laid out.
Plan a shot. Who knew? So, do you have any other tips and tricks about your shot list that you can think of? One thing I do want to say though is, you know what? You do have to give yourself grace and be flexible, because like Garrett said, minutes or seconds are valuable, and sometimes you just don't have the time to get the shot. And if you get upset or stressed out and it throws you off, you got to be able to just like let it wash off your back and move on. That's not easy to do, but especially if there's something really epic that you're like, if we do this, this could be the shot of the century for me. But
for our career, exactly.
So you do have to sometimes just take a step back and be like, oh, I didn't get that, darn it. Maybe I'll do it next time I'm at that venue. All right, so the timeline.
This is all you. I don't touch the timeline.
I know. Wedding timelines, like we talked about, are just so stressful. And a lot of the times, by the time you're a filmmaker, by the time we even see them, it's already done, right?
Yeah,
like
the timeline.
The timeline's done. The schedule's done. So what I like to do is, specifically if they have a wedding planner they're working with, is to reach out to the wedding planner well before I know that they're going to be starting the timeline for the day, and mention how much longer it could potentially take for like the portrait session.
Right. I see here on the timeline you gave us 10 minutes for the creative session. Yeah, we're gonna have to do some revisions on that.
Yeah.
10 minutes is not gonna fly.
So you can't it's harder to change it in the moment, or even a day or a week or a few weeks before the wedding.
Right.
But if you start, some couples book you a year before. Why not say, send an email to the planner and say, hey, just letting you know they chose film with this, so it's gonna be, Most of them have worked with him by now, but some people just still don't know or aren't aware that it's polite to
Yeah.
include extra time. Okay. Woo. That was the timeline from that white wedding. 10-pager. No, I think it was an 11-pager. I took out a page of sensitive information. So this is the 10-page timeline from the wedding planner. Now, did I have this memorized for the wedding? I surely did mostly.
Really?
I did.
Wow.
Because there was so much going on with this wedding and so many moving parts. And so you will know if you get a 10-page wedding planner or a wedding timeline from the planner, you're going to know this is something crazy. If you get a 3 or 4-page, it's different. I'm going to really study this and see and pull out exactly the information I need. But I'm also going to have it on my phone on the wedding day, just in case I have a bridesmaid that says, because you know they're always going to say, what time do I need to be ready again?
Oh, so you'll keep the full version on your phone? Okay, okay.
I keep the full version on. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I did. I just wanted to make sure that people were very clear
Yes.
with that. Like we have a second version that it's the dummy's guide to the wedding day for me, and so having that full schedule is helpful for other people as well.
Yeah. So this is what I boil it down to. Now this is still a pretty long list, but I have every single thing that is actually very pertinent to us on there. Groom prep, bride prep, ceremony, family photos. What time do those specific big things start?
Right.
So this one, the ceremony and reception took place in their home. But like say if there was a church or a reception hall that was separate, I will put those addresses in bold, you know.
Because a lot of times we'll have the where they get ready will be one spot, and then the ceremony will be at someplace else, and then the photo session will be somewhere else yet, and then the reception will be yet again someplace else.
Right.
So having all those addresses and crossing your T's, dotting your I's, having those addresses on your phone. So if anybody else asks, plus if I get lost because I'm horrible with directions, but I can punch that in my GPS and be on my way.
Right. And not only that, but I didn't have it on this one because it was, again, all in the same location, but I will also have contact phone numbers on there. Usually I will have the wedding planner's phone number on here, the photographer's, the contact for the band or DJ, and usually like the maid of honor, I will have, and sometimes the groom or the bride, like the couple, I will have their phone numbers on there as well. Since this was all in one place though, that was the good thing about this one, it was all in one place. That's not on there, but yeah, that timeline was crazy, and that wedding, as you could see, was a lot of moving parts. But like I said, communication is key. So you are reaching out and discussing things with the planner, venue manager, photographer, the band or the DJ months before the wedding.
And I can't tell you how much stress it will alleviate from the wedding day to be having gone ahead and reached out to the DJ, the planner, the photographer, touch base with them, let them know you're a nice human who works and plays well with others. That means a lot to them. And just asking them, hey, I'd like to plug into your system so I can record the audio. Is there anything I need to bring for you to make sure I can accomplish that? Most of the time they'll have everything you need, but just asking them if there's something that you can do for them to make their job easier really helps them realize that you're here as a team member on the team, and you're here to help make everything work like a fine oiled machine.
Because oftentimes, for a lot of our weddings, we are barely making it to the reception to get plugged in from so let's say our typical
For audio.
So our typical Catholic wedding, we're going to do the wedding, we're going to do the photo session. Maybe they probably didn't see each other before the ceremony. So we are running into the reception, setting up. And if your first conversation with the band member who takes care of it or the DJ is, I need a line out. I'm starving. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm thirsty. I need a line out.
And another quick tip. If you are meeting them for the first time and you walk up to them, the best thing that I found works is like, "Hi, how you doing? My name's Garrett Barrett. Are you our sound engineer for this evening?" Not saying, "Are you our DJ or are you our mixer guy?" If you call them a sound engineer, it lets them know that you respect the job they're doing and you're qualified to have a professional relationship with them.
I didn't know you did that.
Yep.
That's very smart.
You are sound engineer.
I like that. So anyway, it's really, I mean,
Well, it's the difference of like somebody coming to me like, "Are you our videographer?" I would much rather them say, "Are you our filmmaker?" That's like, "Yeah, I'm your filmmaker."
are you the video guy?
That makes me feel good inside.
Are you the video guy for
Right.
today? Okay. So anyway, communication, like I've heard, a lot of times if a wedding doesn't have a planner or a venue manager, a lot of the times the photographer becomes the one that has to make the timeline. So you need to respect that too and reach out to the photographer. So if they don't have and you can't be on the day of the wedding saying, "Well, you made the timeline, why didn't you,
It's
make
too
time
late.
for me?"
Yeah.
It's too late. You need to be doing these things beforehand. Okay. Equipment prep. I think our next class is all about gear, but equipment
Get the
prep.
nerd out on gear.
It is, yes. So, firstly, keeping your firmware up to date is essential. I will just tell on ourselves, one of our cameras was never updated, and it took Garrett and I probably 2 days of cussing to figure it out. So, keep your firmware up to date.
Well, we're really one very specific instant. We were at a ceremony on a golf course. I had just maybe less than 5 minutes to get this drone shot of all the chairs on the green. I go to grab my drone, turn it on, and guess what? They say, "Hey, there's a new firmware. Would you like to update?" And I said no, but it thought I said yes. And so it started going through all the processes of updating, and I ended up telling myself I didn't get the shot I want. I got some other good stuff, but I didn't get that shot that I wanted because I was in a hurry. The firmware was not updated, and of course most of these devices are online all the time now, so it can recognize that, hey, I need to update. I'm gonna do it right now. Like, no, I'm working right now. But what I should have done is the day before turned it on and make sure my firmware's up to date, so we're all good to go. But learn from my mistakes.
Even better, maybe 2 days before.
Yeah.
Please do it not the day before, because then you could get a brick. So I don't know. We don't want bricks. Charging. One thing I like to do, like especially, when you're in the middle of wedding season and it's just like back to back to back, so let's say you have a wedding on Saturday, you're barely recovering, you're doing your editing and stuff. By Wednesday, I like to be charging again.
Yeah.
So I can try to have, because we have so many batteries. We have batteries for cameras, if you use external monitors, for your lights, for
I don't want to charge on the wedding day. Like, I don't want to have to find power, plug in and charge batteries and hope to goodness they're going to be charged in time. So I have more juice than I need. So I'm never wondering if I'm going to have enough power and never looking for an outlet. It's just in my bag, all kinds of energy. I'm good to go. I have batteries on top of batteries.
Yep. So, and then charging your gimbal, charging your sliders. Like, it seems like every piece of equipment we use has to be charged. So starting on Wednesday and not Friday before a wedding, that's where you go to.
Are you being passive aggressive on me?
Maybe a little bit. Acquire provisions. So water, food, fuel, pack your car, get your car ready, get it looking good too. You're washing it, you're cleaning out the inside. There better not be McDonald's bags in your car falling out. You need to make sure you have a great presentation. Seriously, lay out your clothes like you did on your first day of school. It makes your day so much better. It's decision paralysis. You're not worried about what you're gonna wear, so you're not making that decision. What if it's not clean? Most of us have like your wedding day attire that you wear each time. What if it's not clean? What if you accidentally forgot to pack to bring your special socks, or your shirt, your undershirt is not clean? So lay everything out beforehand. I promise. I have done it and it works.
Yeah. This doesn't sound like...
It's not deep.
It's not deep. It's not sexy. We'll get to some sexy stuff later. But it's just some of the basics. But some of these things will just go miles to help you. Like for instance, if I didn't have my clothes ready to go, and let's say it's never happened, knock on wood, hope it never will, but I sleep through my alarm and I get up late and I'm running late to the wedding. If I then have to go and start packing and then have to get my clothes together and iron and then have to go find them, then I'm really, really in trouble. But if everything's laid out and everything's ready to go, and even if I did sleep in a little extra too much, I can jump up, put everything together, boom, I'm out the door.
Yeah. So where we live, like we go ahead and put our tripods and everything in our car because we have a locked garage. We still keep, I mean, even though in our locked garage, we still keep our cameras inside the house. So be smart. But another thing, just again, get ready to go the night before.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, I just saw this picture for the first time. That's funny, use that one. Yeah.
That also means checking your memory cards. Like, the day, not even just the day before, 2 days before Thursday, checking your memory cards, because you'll offload the memory cards, and then like, you know, on Saturday night or Sunday, you'll offload the cards. By Wednesday or Thursday, did I offload the cards?
Yeah, well, yeah, and if you don't offload them and format them, get them clean, ready to go, you put one in your camera from a previous shoot, and then you see there's a wedding on it. In my mind, I'm like, oh my God, did I offload? Should I format? What if I format and I have an offload? And all these catastrophes start playing out in my mind.
So then you have to go and check to make sure you offloaded it. There's a bug.
My moth.
Okay, the moth. Okay. But anyway, so.
We got a lot of lights running, so he's very interested.
We're almost through. We got 10 minutes.
Okay.
Backup plan. Okay, so you need to think about your backup plans too, like your vehicle. What do you do if your vehicle has a flat tire, runs out? Do you have AAA? Do you have Uber? What if you don't? Like, we don't, I mean, in our tiny little town, we don't even have Uber here.
We drive a lot to our weddings, like in Indianapolis, St. Louis, places like that. And so we need a backup plan in case our car would just break down. Like, I mean,
Do you
gotta
have
have something to get there.
Even if you know, like, okay, I have a friend who has a car that runs, you know,
Right.
Second shooters, make friends with the people around you, make friends with your local filmmakers, make friends. That's one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give after being sick, because we had to call on several of our friends to help us whenever I couldn't. There weren't very many, but there were several times when we needed help. So, you know. Yeah,
on the video we just showed, one of our friends.
Larry Marshall.
Shout out to Larry Marshall. Thank you, man. You're awesome. He came in clutch, and that actually what you saw there was, I forgot to mention this, was the same day edit. They also bought a same day edit. So I needed another shooter there to be covering stuff while I'm in a back closet somewhere, my hunched over, it was this laptop, I think, and just trying to edit. So having a good resource to pull from as far as friends and second shooters is clutch.
Yep, but we also used people like Aaron P. We used Cassie O'Neill and Charlie Hildebrand and a few others. So also you need to think, I mean, babysitter, what happens if your babysitter gets sick? You know, can you call in a parent or a grandparent to help you? Your gear, you need to make sure you have backup cameras, backup lenses, backup lights.
Don't show up with one camera.
Backup clothes, shoes. Well, so one of my tips is, if you're changing shoes, like if you haven't got my new pair of wedding shoes, bring your old pair with you just in case.
A perfect example, and this is something we had to learn. I usually try to keep a change of clothes in the car. We were driving to a wedding, and the car in front of us went around a corner, hit a slick spot. It wasn't in the winter, it was just, I don't know, oil on the road or something. The car flipped over, rolled down a little ditch area, and landed upside down. So I jumped out of the car and got down there and was trying to help them. They're fine. Everything was fine. The car's banged up. They were bruised, but everybody was fine. But then I showed up to the wedding with mud on my shoes, on my pants, all over my shirt from being down in this ditch. And I was able to grab my clothes and swap out. And plus, you never know if you're gonna, maybe rip out a pair of pants once in a while. That's happened to me too. So just having backup plans on top of backup plans will you may go 100 weddings and never use any of them, but when you need it, you really need it.
Also, the inclement weather things like your umbrella or your things that will go over your camera, rain covers. I mean, we filmed the wedding in the pouring down rain before. Like, quite literally, we have been filming in the rain. I had a guy standing over me holding an umbrella.
It wasn't just any rain, it was record-breaking rain in
Record-breaking
Indianapolis. Like, it had never rained that much that quick
So,
in a long time. But I digress.
We've gone through a lot here. So that's one of the reasons why we're really excited to bring this series. So, I saw this quote when I was getting ready. The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today.
Did I say that too?
No, you did
Oh,
not say
okay.
that one. I mean, I could think of it. Well, remember last week when
Yeah.
I prepped all day the day before for a trip
Yep.
and somebody else didn't, and they didn't have the best morning?
I was preparing mentally, my dear.
Okay. Anyway, you have a lot better time if you can do as much. I always just trick myself. Well, if I do it now, I don't have to do it tomorrow. I can sleep in a little extra or something like that. So that's how I like to trick myself. But that's it. Thank you all so much. Here are some of our socials. Eyenamics. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, personal, the Garrette and at Amber Garrette on Instagram.
My Instagram is is not hardly any weddings at all. It's my like side projects and photography for the most part, and Amber's. But our wedding stuff is on eyenamics.com and Eyenamics on Instagram.
Yeah, so we've just had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, Derek, he's back.
His eyes are glazed over.
I'm not,
Like, wow, it was a lot.
that was a lot. No, that was great.
Thanks,
Okay,
thanks.
good.
I don't.
I didn't hear that last part, Derek.
Yeah, I think I'm having a little audio.
Oh, there you are.
There you hear you now.
There's a little audio fuzziness. I didn't know if you guys heard it. So, you know what's the best part? All great information. You guys are so fun to watch together. Like there's such a good like vibe and juju between you guys. So I just wanted to call that out before we get into the questions. It's sitting here and it's like it's just fun to watch you guys banter back and forth. I'm like,
It's a little weird because we're just here by ourselves in our living room. Like this is literally in our living room. So it just feels like we're just like on a song and dance to ourselves. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
yes. I think we're getting mic feedback on your end. I don't know if it's going out. I'm gonna check with my producer behind the scenes and see if any. I think it might be something. Try muting and unmuting Amber and Garrett and see if that.
Check one, better, better.
Yeah, I think it's something coming through with the mic. Switch it over. If you're going external mic, try going to laptop mic and see if that helps.
Hang on here.
I wasn't sure if it was on my end or not. And this gives plenty of time for people to get your questions in. You guys
Did it sound okay about the rest of it?
still coming through. Yeah, still coming through jumpy. It's like a fuzzy.
This is the laptop mic.
There we go. Perfect.
I'm going to.
Yes. That'll work. That'll work. Well,
Cool.
we planned this, Amber, so that you'd have to take all the questions.
Oh, thanks.
So I'm going to start out. We did have a question come in from Visual Modulations joining us on YouTube. Have you ever encountered a couple that you felt might not be the right fit or you guys just didn't vibe with? Would you recommend them finding someone else? Do you take them on as a client and try to accommodate? How do you guys, is there like a breaking point of like, okay, we don't really drive, but we can make it work, or no? Take it.
Yeah. I do think whenever there's a certain point in your career where you're just saying yes to everything, right? Because you need money. Let's be honest. You're going to just say yes to everything. But then there comes a certain point where you're like, I can say no sometimes. And I think that maybe there's only been 1 or 2 people we've said no to, but there's probably been 5 or 6 we should have said no to.
Yeah, absolutely.
When do you know, and how do you like, at what point is it just apparent right away, or is it sometimes as it goes on and you're in your 6th round of edits and they're not happy? And
Yeah, there was, you know what? I'm trying to be nice, maybe. Like there's some people you will just never make happy too. Like that's the problem as well with weddings, because it's such an emotional moment and there's so much emotion wrapped into it. you can do the best job that you could do with the project and they still won't like it. So I do remember out of all the weddings that we filmed, there's maybe 2 or 3 people. One person just was not happy with our music. And I swear it was literally one person in all of this. And for some reason, it's not that Garrett didn't even nail it, but I hate to say she was just kind of weird, but she was.
Yeah, it was a little off.
Yeah,
It was just
sometimes
like,
you just
even the
don't.
whole the
Yeah.
whole wedding was just weird, you know. But you know, like you can, whenever you're emailing them, and if you feel like the line of questioning, you're just uncomfortable with some of the things that they're asking you, and you just know in your heart or in your soul, I feel like it's telling you, but you don't listen. It's just that quiet voice that's like, oh, but that money sounds really good. You just, like, believe me, for your heart and your head, like you just need to make the right decision and not the one that, you know, it's a lot easier to not take it.
Right, yeah, it will make it's kind of heartbreaking because you know you're not getting that, you're not booking that job and you're not gonna make that money, but if they're just like, well, one couple, we met with their parents because the daddy was paying, and dad hit me with a bunch of questions that just made me feel very uneasy. And he asked some pretty rough questions. When I left to go up to the counter to get a drink, he like just zoned in on Amber and was like badgering her with these questions that he wouldn't ask the guy, me, wouldn't ask me. And so once I found out about that, and I was already feeling a little uneasy, on the ride home, I just sent him an email like, hey, I'm terribly sorry that we took up your time today, but I don't think we're going to be a good fit for you. I can make some other recommendations and other people that may, but we're going to have to just bow out on this one.
Yeah, I
And that
totally
was
forgot.
a really good decision.
That was a great decision. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
if they're,
sometimes you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what about for the people who might be conflict avoidant? And I'm gonna say this because I'm like that person that, like, even an email like that might be challenging for some people. So
Right.
is there any tactics or, I hate saying the word tactics, it sounds
Yeah.
so like diversive, but anything you can use where, like, for me, like when I used to get corporate jobs, and if it was a job that I really didn't want to do, I would just price it way high. And it's like, either I'm making bank on this and enough money to where I'm like, wow, like this should be a crime, or they're saying, no, sorry, it's not within our budget or whatever. And then you kind of avoid it. Is there anything that people can use, people who might be more conflict avoidant, or people who don't want to turn something down, or they have trouble, maybe they're not so set in their ways, or they're newer? Is there anything that's like an easy way to kind of cut the cord?
That is a very, I mean, believe me, it is a very awkward conversation, and we've only had it a couple times. So it is a scary thing, but I
think if
mean,
you, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I feel like I'm just gonna just say, we are of the mindset to price it high. Definitely, we've done that before. Price
That
it
way,
high.
I know it's going to be a lot of extra work because of the vibe that I'm getting. But if they book me, I'm making adequate, more than adequate money, so that I'm going to be excited to shoot their film and to put that together because I'm getting paid well, and that goes a long way too.
Well, one of the things that we do, I mean, we don't like to do same day edits. And so we just made them very expensive. So if you want one, you can pay us for it. So
Right.
it's the same principle.
Okay, yeah, same
Right?
mentality.
It's the same principle. And I'm not above just saying, I'm so sorry. Like somebody went ahead and got that date. Somebody else swept that date up from you. Sorry. Like I'm not above lying to them. What are they going to do? Yeah, I'm sorry, but
No, I mean, it's one of
gatekeeping
those things where it's like, it's a useful,
I know.
you're still turning the job down. It doesn't matter why you're turning it down. And I think
Exactly.
there's such a stigma of, not everybody has it easy, where they'd be like, not everybody can be straightforward. Not everybody could just be like, you know what? I didn't really jive with you guys. I didn't like it. I didn't feel like I could do a good, and that's hard for some people.
Yeah.
And sometimes the direct route, it's like the little white lies. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to tell you that the date booked because I'm still getting comfortable in telling people no. And you know what? That might be the step that gets somebody closer to sending an email like Garrett sent and said, look, this isn't a good
100%.
fit, and this and that. And Garrett, I love the way you worded that, where, it wasn't just, hey, let's price it high and boom, I'm going to make a killing on this. It's price it high and now I'm excited about the job, because I think at the end of the day, even if you bump up the money, you still have to be excited. Otherwise, then you're like, okay, now I took more money from these people and I'm still going to give them a crap product. You want to be excited about what you're doing. How many times the money's spent before you get to the editing phase and you're like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
editing for free.
Yeah.
Like every time.
Oh, it's not just me. Okay.
Definitely
But
not.
going back
I
to
love doing post processing for free. I started
Oh,
like
yeah.
3 months ago. It's like, you know,
Yeah, going back to like what can they do is if you approach it from a standpoint of you're wanting to make sure they get the best film, is if you just say, hey, I want to make sure that you guys on your wedding day get the best wedding film you could possibly get. I don't think that we are a good enough fit for you to get that, and I think you would be better served with company XYZ. Or other recommendations. So don't
yeah. Do
just
you guys, I'm curious, do you guys recommend, or is it something where it's like, hey, if I'm not driving with them, I'm going to let them just make their own mind up. I don't want to have them coming back 6 months from now, like they recommended you. And
It depends on the couple. And if I think they're just monsters, I'm not recommending them to anyone.
I wouldn't give you you have like the enemy list, like go to this person.
Maybe I should come up with that. Never mind. I keep that one inside. Keep that inside. No, but I mean, the other thing is there are so many weddings that if you refer one out, odds are you're going to get one for that day anyway. So just like the one thing that weddings can take from you very quickly is your mental health. So one of you have to protect that. And if taking a job just because it has good money, but you feel bad about it or feel weird about it, and I'm not like, there are many couples that I didn't vibe with on the day, and that like by the end of it, I couldn't even remember the bride's name because I didn't like her so much, But there are many times I wish that we would have said no.
yeah.
And
for
we
sure.
haven't always had the backbone we do now. That's the thing.
And sometimes you don't have the luxury of
That's also true.
of saying no. Like I gotta pay my mortgage. I
Yeah.
gotta. We haven't had any inquiries for like next December, and we get this one wedding that they're gonna pay what I'm asking for, and it's in December, a really low time for us. So you have to make that decision. At that point, it's more of a business decision than it is like, well, do I just want to do that because they're going to be hard to get along with? I mean, you have to make a living, you have to live your life. And going back to protecting your mental health is being very polarizing in our editing style and the way we shoot is fun for me. So I'm not just doing the same thing I've done for 20 years. I'm always constantly pushing what I'm capable of and pushing what I do, and that fulfills me artistically, and that keeps that mental health, that artist mental health going, neurodivergent health. And so you're not locked down into this little box and just hating every day of your life because you are doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. So putting that work out there that you enjoy doing, that you really love, and getting people that love that work, it helps your mental health so much.
I love that. I think that was my favorite part of the presentation, was when you guys talked about being polarizing. And I think that would even help with the previous question, because when you're middle of the road,
Yeah.
it's easier for either you guys to sneak up on them or them to sneak up on you, where it's like they might hit the same point where it's like, hey, we're already like pot committed, and now we realize we don't like them, or we're not aligned with them, so it could happen on both sides of the coin. And I think by being polarizing, it's like, I want people to know from the gate, if they hate me from the gate, great, we just saved both of ourselves a world of trouble.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Makes somebody's mind up easier. So some great information. This was a great kickoff to the series. I want to thank you guys again. For a while, we've been talking about getting you guys on. We finally met in person. Stephanie and I met Amber at one of the shows. I forget.
Yeah,
which
you
it
met her
was
because
now.
I was probably in the hotel room being an introvert.
There you go. Well, look, we talk about first impressions and meeting people in person, and it's like we're sitting here right now because it's like getting to meet people in person. I think that's what's so great about going to shows, just to kind of take a little bit of a tangent, and meeting other people in the industry. That's a great way to meet, second shooters and people, that other vendors and people that you really work with, and we do the same thing here with the event space. It's like we want to meet people in person. If we're able to see people speak and see how they relate to people, and if we talk and if we jive, then
Yep.
boom, we get you guys here on camera, and it's already a match made in heaven. So I
Yeah.
want to
Well,
thank
I
you
mean,
guys.
we have matching
We
octopus
got
tattoos,
the we got
so.
the there's the connection there.
And then
I
he
think
has a couple pizza tattoos,
Oh,
Garrett.
nice.
So he has
I
pizza
got
tattoos.
a couple peaches
He
tattoos.
has
there
a
we
couple.
go. It was I got one. Can I even? There we go.
Ah, there's the
Picture
pizza.
there.
So,
So sometimes we bond over the most trivial things, and I
and
think
that's,
it's
yeah.
that's it. That's the great part about it. We talk all the time about how there's so much saturation and there's so much competition, but it's great because it makes it so much easier to say no because someone else is going to pick up the baggage, and then you can kind of find your own tribe and find the people that want to work with you and people that you want to work with them and be passionate about recreating.
And
Right.
that's whenever the magic happens. Like whenever we're on a site with this planner that we work with a lot and the photographer that we work with a lot, we don't even have to talk to each other. It's like when Garrett and I shoot together, we don't have to talk to each other. We barely even look at each other. We just know instinctively what each other is going to do. So, like it just makes everything flow so well, and you can come up with things that are maybe more artistic and more beautiful because you've done the work in the pre-planning and you already know all the steps and you know when you can get that like 5 minutes where you can sneak out and do something. So I know that this isn't the sexiest part, even though it's step one, it's not the sexiest. It's the broccoli. We got the candy
Yeah.
next time. We got I think it's gear next time. That'll be the fun stuff. Because we've also made all the bad decisions with gear, so I can't wait for that one too.
I
So
love it. It's like, come join Amber and Garrett. They're going to show you what not to do because they made the mistake for you.
yes,
There you
well,
go.
it's all
Yep.
sitting up in our loft. We have a loft above the garage, and it's like our museum of antiquities that we didn't sell quickly enough.
Oh my God. We all know gear. It's like the place where gear acquisition syndrome goes to not die because it just sits there
Just,
forever and ever and ever and ever. Well, Garrett, Amber, this was great. Can't wait to have you guys back on and continue this series. Of course, a huge thank you to Sony for hosting this wonderful series, and to all of our viewers out there. We can't do it without you all. You guys are the reason that we do this free education for the masses here at the B&H Event Space. But that is it. Another edition of the Event Space in the books. Catch y'all next time.
thanks for